Captain's Log, Stardate 2026. Our mission with Brio TV, the podcast, is to boldly go to the deck of the USS Athena and interview Canadians. Coming up next, Star Trek Starfleet Academy's Commander Kelrec. Hi, everybody. Bill Brio here, and thanks for joining me. And today, as my guest, I've got somebody I've been really looking forward to talking to for quite a long time. He is an actor, of course, but also a producer, a writer, and a musician. He is born in Manchester, raised in Ottawa, graduate of the National Theatre School of Canada. His stage credits could fill a whole podcast episode. But boy, the one thing that stands out is his one-man performance of Hamlet, which he's performed all across Canada. Sticking to TV and film, he's been in Ken Finkelman's The Newsroom, around 300 episodes of the Canadian soap opera Train 48, and then everything from Hudson and Rex, Murdoch Mysteries, Rookie Blue, Republic of Doyle, Suits, Traitors, on and on. He can be heard singing the blues as the front man of Raoul and the Big Time, which kind of gives him away. Recently, you've seen him on the Crave series The Trades, and now he's in Toronto working on season 2 of the Paramount Plus hit Star Trek Starfleet Academy. Shields up, everybody. It's Raoul Bhaneja.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, man. Great to see you. Thank you for reaching out.
No, my pleasure, Raoul. It's been you've been on my list for a while. We've talked before, but never really done a good, solid interview. So I'm really happy you're able to do this today. And congratulations on everything. It's exciting news. We might as well jump right into the Star Trek stuff first. Let me just adjust my screen here a bit. Are you in Toronto?
Yeah, I'm at home in Toronto right now because we're still shooting season 2.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So we've got another month, we're just about to launch into this episode 10, season 2, so season finale. Yep.
Wow, 10 more episodes. That's great. Each one is like a movie. I'm astounded. It is. No, I mean,
it's incredible,
like
man.
A big budget film. I mean, I watched the first 2 the other day, and wow, really impressive. And I have to say right up front, I don't know about you. When I grew up, I was a little kid when the original Star Trek came on. Mm-hmm. And so I was like 8 or 9, and I just never got into it. I watched Lost in Space instead. I watched Get Smart or Batman, right?
All great shows.
Yeah, exactly. So I never was a Star Trek fan until Discovery. Yeah, I know. And Sandra here, she was a big fan of The Next Generation. So
yes,
Picard was her captain. But I thought Discovery...
Michael Burnham was yours.
Well, kind of, but I just thought it was like this series a bit. It was really advanced in terms of visuals and sound, and it was crazy impressive. This takes it another level. Star Trek Starfleet Academy, it really is a knockout to watch, and so congrats, and what a cast, right? So
it's amazing because we've had I had the chance to see the pilot 3 times on the big screen, and each time the screen got bigger and bigger. The New York premiere was at the American Museum of Natural History on a giant screen, and I think they had brought in specific sound equipment that didn't exist there for the premiere. And, I can tell you, sadly at this, where we're at right now, I suppose, is a lot of people, watch TV shows on their phone while sitting on the toilet. But to see it on a giant screen, it was pretty impressive to see how the visuals and the effects held up. It's really something else.
I've got a nice big 65-inch screen. I just got it, last Boxing Day, finally.
Nice.
Upgraded from the 42. And I thought this is worth the investment right here because it really shows every inch of the screen. And And there's a lot going on in the background. There's a big cast. There's a lot of sets. So it's cool to see. But anyway, tell us how you became Commander Kelrec. Is that how I pronounce
That's
it?
right. Yeah.
And he's sort of the head of this army nation, right? That is part of the Federation now. These guys are they got the cool uniforms.
Yeah, the War College was established post-burn for the training of Starfleet officers. And they have this campus now back on Earth because Earth at some point rejoined the United Federation of Planets. And so the War College, for couldn't tell you exactly how many years, but it's been reopened on Earth and in space, I'm sure, at some point. And Commander Kelrec, or Chancellor Kelrec, he's commander rank, but his title is Chancellor of the War College. He's been the head of the War College for a long time. And the series basically kicks off with, the Federation deciding to reopen Starfleet Academy on the campus in San Francisco where it was, in the before the burn. And, Kelrec is basically told, you get to keep your War College, but it's going to now be under the same kind of umbrella as Starfleet. And you're going to work together with this new chancellor and basically be co-principals as opposed to principal and vice principal.
Yeah.
And you can imagine how in any high school that probably wouldn't go great.
Right.
For someone.
It's kind of heartening to see, though, that even into the 33rd century, the Golden Gate Bridge is still standing in, in the San Francisco harbor there. I thought that was, well, along with 100-story condos or whatever, right?
Yes, I guess they figured out how to build that high when there's earthquakes, and it's not really going to be an issue.
Right, yeah.
There are some, in downtown LA, there are some skyscrapers that basically are able to do that if a big earthquake comes. But I'm sure by the 32nd century, they figured out all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Set phasers on pause while we beam up the following message from our sponsor.
Now streaming. One house, 10 wild Canadians. This is Canada Shore.
We've come from all over Canada to the country's #1 party spot. It's gonna be next level.
Better get ready.
I love to stir the pot.
So ready to show it all, baby.
There goes the neighborhood.
Is someone here?
The boss is here.
Canada Shore, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
And we're back with Star Trek Starfleet Academy's Commander Kelrec, Raoul Bhaneja. Talk to me about Paul Giamatti. He just chews that spaceship to bits, man. He's like a Batman villain. I loved it. Just he comes in there and Unleashed. He's half Vulcan or half
Tellarite and half Klingon.
Half Klingon. So he's got the aggression, but he can still show it.
Yeah.
It must
amazing.
be fun to watch, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have a certain amount with him in the show. Again, there's more for anyone who's just watched the first, I guess as of yesterday, we're on episode 4 of 10 of season 1. So, all I can say is there's more coming of him.
Yeah.
And, any day I was on set where he was on set, I would just go sit at the monitors and watch him and Holly do their thing. You're watching two masters with a huge deal of experience who've been doing it for 40 years. You're watching them go head to head, and they have very different styles in terms of how they act and what they do. And just to watch the two of them tango was a total treat.
It is. It works. It was fun watching her curl up like a kitten in the captain's chair when he's breathing down her neck. I get Stephen Colbert. I watched this and didn't realize it till later. That was his voice. He's one of the
He's the digital dean of students.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to talk to him or meet him at all? Or
well, it's cool. He wasn't around for any of our on-set work because that's all done in post-production.
Right.
But at the premiere in New York at the American Museum of Natural History, my wife Brigitte was with me, and I was talking to somebody else, and I turned my head, and she just went pointing, and I look over, and there's Colbert with his son. So I tried to be pretty cool that night. Like Kate Mulgrew was there, Ethan Phillips was there. There were a lot of Star Trekky people there, and I just tried to keep, pretty cool. But I talked to Stephen Colbert for about 35 seconds, and I was like, "Hey, can we get a selfie?" I was like, "I have to take a picture with you. You're not only this great talk show host and this guy who loves theater and talks about theater all the time in his thing, but you're also at like the center of the entire sort of cultural moment in the U.S. right now." And so I did get a selfie with Stephen Colbert because I had to.
Well, let's talk a bit about that. We'll get back to the other cast, but just the other intriguing part about this series, the Starfleet Academy, is it's very much in the conversation. We're reading, on the news, there's people being rounded up on the streets of Minneapolis and all over different places to be by ICE, to be kicked out of America and all this stuff. This is a show that sort of shows everybody getting together. The cast, all these cadets, they're not just black and white. They're green. They're purple. They're Klingon. It's actually. I think the Globe and Mail just did a story about how it's a much needed pop cultural defense of the humanities and Klingonities and Vulcanities. But that it's kind of moving to watch this, and it feels very natural and hopeful and modern, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think in many ways it adheres to the core tenets of the Roddenberry philosophy. Right. And I will say that despite what some online commentators may think or say, that is pretty central to a lot of the conversations that I think happen around the show in terms of what are the stories going to be, what are the relationships going to be. And, I've also never been in a show that had the richest man in the world comment on it, and Stephen Miller commented on it either on Twitter. It's very, like, there's this weird thing happening where the show is also sort of in the middle of the U.S. culture wars in its woke or anti-woke debate. Yeah. And of course, there's some people who, like or don't like the show. And then there's some people who have attached themselves to commentary for clicks, of course, like anybody on YouTube would who's trying to make a living. I get it. It's a cultural property that you can make money off by, if you post a video saying Starfleet Academy is my favorite show, you're going to get 1,000 views. If you post a thing saying Starfleet Academy is a woke disaster, you get 1 million views. So I've never been a part of something that's sort of in this whole sort of weird cultural extra thing, on top of it being Star Trek. Like, Star Trek alone makes it this thing that all these people care about and talk about. And now there's this whole extra layer to it. And a lot of it is centered around, the conversation is centered around, is this Roddenberry's kind of progressive, or is it some other kind of like agenda-based wokeness? Which is wild. Like, it's completely strange to me, because it's sort of kind of about the show, but a lot of it's about, the political state we're in, and another part of it's about social media.
Well, that's why, in a way, my sort of ignorance of the early versions of Star Trek. So I'm not involved in this. Is it too Kurtzman? Is it too Roddenberry? Because I'm not steeped in those traditions. I'm just like, does this entertain me? Would I recommend it? And boy, I mean, I think sometimes you can be too into a show, right? And it can. Well,
and this is the show of the alt. There is no show that has fans like this. I mean, it's 60 years of shows. 100, not just movies and modern series. It's like hundreds and hundreds of hours of shows. I mean, it's interesting. I'll read commentary, and there's people who are like, I haven't really liked, these are people who are on forums who talk about it all the time. there's people who basically say, yeah, like I haven't really liked any Star Trek since about 1996. Like, oh my God.
Missed the best ones.
And you still watch it?
Yeah.
Like you still participate in it? But, you know, that's how some people feel. So, I mean, it's unlike anything I've ever been involved in, because, you know, part of the problem we have in Canadian television and film is trying to get anyone to give a crap about any of it and have an opinion on any of it. And here you are, you know, and I'm on the absolute reverse in this show, where Elon Musk is tweeting about its wokeness. And, you know, he's the richest man in the world with 225 million Twitter followers.
Right.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I think it rattles them because this is a view of the future. And that's not, they'd like to go back to when America was great again. But original series, as far as I understand, was one of the only shows that Martin Luther King would let his kids watch. Right. Well, he talked to her to stick it to her job, Nicole.
That's right.
You know, that she wanted to quit. And he literally reached out to her and said, "You're the example. Are you kidding? Do not leave this series." Yeah. And I do think that original cast in 1966, you know, you weren't seeing such diversity on the Beverly Hillbillies. You know, I mean, it was revolutionary. Good for him, you know.
Pavel is, like they didn't have a Russian Jed.
No.
I mean, because that's another thing too. You forget that. I mean, in the height of the Cold War, there's a Russian crew member.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Like, you know, and that, like, on top of, like, well, there was a black woman, then there was an Asian guy, and you know, so to me, where the show's at, our show's at, you know, to me it fits. I understand it, and it doesn't bother me, because I'm like, look, you can't. What was progressive in 1966, you can't do that in 2026, and it can't be the same because the world's changed. But you know, there's always going to be people. The thing I've learned about Star Trek is there's no way that any single property or show can satisfy a fan base that's been around for 60 years. It's just not possible. No,
you cannot please everybody. If you can just please 20% of them, you have a monster hit. Yes. Right? So what the hell? Now, talk about this. You're not the only Canadian on the cast. I know you're
true.
You were born in Manchester, I believe, were you? Or no?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Manchester, England, yeah.
But you are, you have several roots. You know, my mom was born in Scotland, so I'm half Scotch and half water. But there's other kid, this guy, Sandro.
Incredible.
Yeah. Doesn't he just jumps right out? He's terrific. Where on earth did they find him?
He was the last person to be cast in the show in a significant leading role. I couldn't tell you, like the short list probably had 100 actors on it, right? Like the short list where they probably deeply considered. That would have been a worldwide search. Sandro's a kid who grew up, I think, in North Toronto. And, you know, as a kid, had his troubles and, you know, found his calling in the discipline of physical training and going to the gym as a young man. I mean, he has amazing genetics, you know, but he really dedicated his teenage years to fitness and becoming a fitness trainer. Wow. And, of course, wanted to be an actor. And the guy, I actually work with a trainer who used to work with him when he was a teenager, a coworker. And he said, you know, Sandro walked into the gym and my buddy just said, this trainer I work with said, oh, yeah, we knew he was going to be like an actor or a model, like the moment he walked in. He's an incredibly handsome guy. But, you know, he went to England and studied acting there and started doing some plays. And then Starfleet Academy is his first on-camera credit.
Wow. And that's crazy.
The wild thing is, you know, he was set up in London. And even, you know, when he first arrived, he had that thing of being a Canadian who's lived in London for a number of years. You know, he had a bit of an English accent, and he had to be on the show playing, you know, not an English person. Yeah. So he was back in Toronto, which he hadn't really spent a lot of time in for the last few years. And, you know, here he was back at home on a giant show as the lead in his first on-camera job. and I think he's done incredible. I mean, he's a very obviously very skilled actor, but he's also a natural. You know, the camera just looks at him, and there's no mistake how he got cast. The camera loves the guy.
Yeah.
And one of the things that impressed me about Sandro, and I couldn't say I had that ability at his age or that stage in my career necessarily, was he, even though he's playing the character in these incredibly high stress situations and all that, he understands innately how little you have to do with your face and body, and how much your emotions and your intent will read on screen. You know, he's not a young actor who's there like he's not. Right, he doesn't overact.
Right. Yeah,
which is hard. Like, people don't understand. I don't think people understand how hard it is to be the first time on screen in a giant role in kind of like a space melodrama and not overact. Like, it's really, really hard.
Like, I've read about Anthony Hopkins. He'll literally find out what lens they're using, and then he knows how many millimeters to lift his eyelids. You know, like it's almost that exacting a science. And we're talking about Sandro Rosta, right? And he plays the brooding space brat Caleb, and he's sort of the center of the story for sure, as this orphan. And he's doing this opposite Holly Hunter, and he's having a big fight with Paul Giamatti. Like, what the hell, right? Crazy.
And the amazing thing about that, Giamatti talked about this on Colbert when he was being interviewed, but Giamatti had a stunt double. But I saw Sandro the day after they did the fight, and I said, "Hey, how was the fight?" He's like, "Oh, it was pretty good. I'm pretty sore today." And again, this kid is 6'3", built like a Greek god, and is in very good shape, and has spent, like I said, his adult life learning about his body and working on it. And I said, "Oh, how was Giamatti? Like, did he use the stunt double?" He's like, "No, Giamatti did the whole fight."
Did he really?
He did the whole fight. And then on Colbert, Giamatti was like, "Oh, at the end, they said, wow, we were so impressed he didn't use the stunt double." And he was like, "I could have used the stunt double, but I think he's joking. I think he's a guy who, that's Giamatti though, man. Like,
that's a funny line.
He's incredible. He's really incredible. And he did that entire fight, which again, for a guy who's like 60, to be fighting a kid who's 30, 25, sorry.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. It's a pretty lively scene,
amazing.
No kidding.
Looks great.
And there are other Canadians, aren't there? Isn't Tatiana plays his mom, right?
Yes, Tatiana Maslany, she plays his mom. There's an actor from Toronto, Romeo, who plays Occam, the Betazoid brother of Terima Saddam.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and he's wonderful in the show, and he kind of is a character that I think is going to become, by the end of the season, I think he's going to be an audience favorite. He brings a whole other kind of vibe to it, and then of course a lot of the bridge crew are Canadian actors. Some of the guest stars in episode 4 of the great Stratford actor and musical theater actor David Keeley. He plays the Klingon X of Holly Hunter. He's amazing. Yeah, so there's quite a few Canadians populating the show here and there, for sure.
How'd you like to have a Klingon X? I think that's right there. There's a whole other show. The Klingon X.
Yeah. I haven't seen episode 4 yet. I can't wait to watch those scenes because David is such a great actor. And when he told me he got it, I was just thrilled. His stuff's cool. With Holly, so I'm looking forward to that.
Well, it's very exciting to watch. We'll be right back with more from Raoul Bhaneja. It's time once again to check in with Emily Gagne. Emily, I hear there's something coming up on Hollywood Suite. Tell me the name of this new show.
It's called The Listeners, Bill.
Oh, see, that's why I heard about it.
Oh, yeah, you should hear about it because it is a sensational show, 6-part series from the UK. This is the first time it's going to be seen in Canada, and it is about a group of people that hear this mysterious sound that other people can't hear. And why is that? They have to find out.
Okay, well, we'll look for that. Also, what kind of movies you got coming up? I know Hollywood Suite always got great films.
Well, it's Black History Month, so we like to celebrate iconic contributions to film by Black folks. So we've got, some Spike Lee classics like School Days and The Inside Man, but also some modern favorites like The Woman King.
So there it is, folks. Everything coming up on Hollywood Suite in February. Thanks a lot, Emily.
Thanks, Bill.
Once again, here's Raoul. Now let's talk a bit about you. My God, I'd love to do this just to go through some credits because I've been covering TV for a long, long time. And you and I think, have met once or twice on a couple of these.
Yeah, sure.
Not the newsroom, though. That's going way back. And with Ken Finkelman and all those guys. Do you have many memories of working on that show?
I remember we shot inside the CBC building, which at that time was fairly new. And I remember I was up in the casting office on my, I'd taken the train in from National Theatre School. I had a couple days off where I was given permission to leave to go shoot, which they didn't let you normally do.
Wow.
But my Ottawa homegirl, Sandra Oh, had been allowed leave to go shoot 3 years, but I had 2 years, 3 years before me. Yeah. So I said, well, you guys did let Sandra go shoot, The Diary of Evelyn Lau. So she went off and did a whole TV feature, and then still graduated. And I'm like, they need me in Toronto for like 4 days. So can I please go? And I got cast by Robin Cook because I had done the Theatre Ontario audition showcase, which all the graduates of the theatre programs did. That was the first year of it. So I also said to them, hey, I didn't go looking for this job. The casting director came to me, and she came to me because they needed someone to play Pamela Sinha's younger brother. And Pamela Sinha, who ended up being on ER, and is a great actor and writer and screenwriter in her own right. They needed her, her Indian brother, and there weren't that many actors who could play her younger brother. So I remember going in there. And they just said, when I was about to go down, they said, we just want to warn you that this isn't like a lot of normal shows. And of course, I didn't know what a normal show was because this was my first screen credit. And they looked at me kind of seriously and almost slightly alarmed and said, there's a lot of improvisation on the show. And I had grown up doing improv. I'd been the national champion Canadian high school improv games for 2 years.
Perfect.
With my high school in Ottawa. And I just remember thinking I immediately went, oh, that sounds cool. But I could see how CBC was kind of alarmed by that. So that was one of the main things I remember. And it was, it was really a cool experience. And that's 30 years ago this month.
Wow. For people who may not remember the newsroom, there was an American show called that. This one was much more improv. It was more like Larry David's Curb Your Enthusiasm, or even Gary Shandling's show. You're right. It was a lot of improv in it, and that made it fun. Then you did an episode, I think, of Traders.
Yes.
Do you have a Hart Hansen story by any chance? He was the producer on that show. Maybe not.
Yeah, I think I got that part because I wrote Hart a letter.
Oh, nice.
I used to get made fun of when I left theater school. When I first worked at the Blythe Festival, and Paul Thompson, the legendary Canadian theater director, would often find me in my off hours at one of the old, now old, but then kind of new, Apple computers, writing out letters to all the artistic directors in Canada to say hi, I'm in a show at the Blythe Festival and I've just graduated from the National Theatre School. Here's my photo and resume. Please hire me to be in your theater. So I was never shy about writing a letter, but I had a friend of mine who worked on Traders, Tim Southam, has gone on to be the head of the BGC at one point, and is now, a world-renowned episodic director. He's shooting something in North Africa right now. Tim's, turned out to be kind of an incredible TV guy. And Tim was kind of a protege of Hart's and was a writer on it. Mm-hmm. And so I had written a letter to Hart saying how I thought, because I'd started to understand when I left school, like when I was an actor at National Theatre School, I never thought about diversity. I never thought about inclusionary casting.
Right.
Because in theater school, I played any part they gave me and it didn't matter.
Right.
And then when I got out, whether it was theater or TV, I realized, oh, I'm going to be restricted or confined to certain things because of how my face, my skin color, and my last name. And I started to realize kind of early on, like, ooh, this could be kind of tricky. So I think Tim gave me Hart's production office address, and I wrote him saying how I felt I was ready to be on the TV show like Traitors, and that I thought it was a great opportunity to give people who looked a little different an opportunity to be on screen.
Good for you.
And I somehow got a part as Bill McDonald's character's assistant, and I think I'm literally in two scenes. So, but yeah, that was kind of another sort of legendary show. And then I was in Twitch City around the same time, which is where I met Don McKellar and Bruce McDonald, which was sort of like, meeting indie royalty. Molly Parker, that's when I first met Molly. Daniel McIver was in that. Tracy Wright, late Tracy Wright.
Let me back you up a bit here.
Sure.
Raoul, since you met these guys, and you're famous for doing Hamlet, a one-man show, how did you not end up on Slings and Arrows?
Great question. I auditioned for it, but the part I auditioned for, I don't know why I auditioned for it, because I asked after the fact, and it was the part that Mark McKinney was always going to play. I have no idea why. I was very jealous. That's not the most jealous I've been, but that's among the most bitter I've been that I never got any role on that show. There was a character of Sanjay, which was on it. And after he read the script, Colm Feore said he wanted to play Sanjay.
Oh, that bastard. So, that bastard Colm Feore. He's grabbing all. He's not satisfied being on another Paramount show.
They wanted him to be some, some different character, and he read it, and I think he liked the Sanjay part. So I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But no, I was definitely bitter I was not on that show. And every time it comes up as like the greatest show ever made in Canada that still lives on, I'm always a little like, oh yeah, well. But I mean, Susan Coyne, I love Susan Coyne.
Yeah.
The people who made that show are great. And it was like Rachel McAdams was on it. My friend Luke Kirby, that was like a big one of the first shows Luke Kirby made an impression on. So, I'm thrilled for all the people who were on it. There's plenty of shows out there.
That's true. But yeah, it just seems with your knowledge of Shakespeare, your training, and you would have been a great addition. My God, that show, for people who don't know, Slings and Arrows was sort of set in a Stratford-like place, and was it had a ghost to it, and it was just all about putting on that kind of Shakespearean show.
I'd be at parties in LA and say I was from Canada, and TV people would say Slings and Arrows is my favorite show. Like it was the heated rivalry of its day. So
after a while, you would just say, "Yeah, sure, I was on that." Wouldn't you? Yeah. I mean, you would. You were on Puppets Who Kill. Did you get killed? Let's go from the ridiculous to the extreme. And I'm so sorry here. Let me just. My phone is ringing here, and I just got to keep turning it off there. The reason I asked that, I went to high school with Dan Redigan, and
I had met Dan before because we had a arc on Train 48 together.
Yes, yeah. So you did like 300 episodes of this show, didn't you? Something?
Yeah, I was probably in 260 of those half hours, and I got to direct one too, which was cool. It's the only episode of television I ever directed, but I think I'd been doing it for so long, I was like, I'll come back, but I have to direct one episode. So that was an incredible experience.
A daily Canadian soap opera made on a Canadian dime, but it was the only one that's ever happened, right? I think that like that.
Yeah, I mean, there was and also I think one of the interesting twists on it was that the dialogue was improvised. So wow. we kind of borrowed. And we shot on the same stages where SCTV shot in Toronto, up at Global on Barbara Green.
Did you really? Wow.
So we kind of felt we'd get in every morning. The only people who would be there would be like, Peter Kent and Anwar Knight doing the weather. We'd show up with the morning news crew at like 6 a.m. we'd shoot till 2, and then it would be 2 or 3, and then it would be on TV that night at 7 p.m. I mean, it was a completely wild TV experiment. And I had, when I was doing the blue carpet for Star Trek here in Toronto, I had 2 people say like, oh, yes, you know, I remember you from Train 48. I'm like, holy crap, that's 20 plus years ago. But, you know, we did a lot of episodes. So for people who got into it, they did develop a relationship with those characters because we did 310 episods in 2 years, 2.5 years.
Yeah. You go on, you've got credits on just about every show I've ever written about. Little Mosque, Flashpoint, yes. Motive.
Yep.
Republic of Doyle. You went out to St. John's for that. That must have been fun.
Well, and St. John's for me is a very special place because the first film the first film I ever did, I was around Sandro's age, I guess. I did this film that ended up going to TIFF in 1998 called Extraordinary Visitor with Mary Walsh and Andy Jones.
Oh my God.
And I played John the Baptist opposite the two of them. So, you know, I was in this crazy comedy directed by John Doyle, not John Doyle of the
not the singer.
Not the singer or that's Alan Doyle, not John Doyle of the Globe journalist.
Oh, right.
John Doyle. John Doyle, the filmmaker.
John Doyle will not forgive me for confusing him with the singer. John and I are good buddies. He'll go,
exactly.
What's wrong with you?
Look, it's a republic of Doyles. They're everywhere.
There are.
Doyles
too many Doyles. Too many damn Doyles.
But so I Newfoundland is a place. And then I did another movie after that called Violet, directed by Rosemary House, which also starred Mary Walsh. So I had these 2 film experiences in Newfoundland in the beginning of my career. And there's nothing like being, you know, in your early 20s, showing up to St. John's and saying you're in a movie with Mary and Andy. Because once you tell, then you're like, you're in. You're just like, I was immediately welcomed into the arts community there. Yeah, it was royalty, man. So I still go back now, and I have friends from back then from making that movie. So I'll go anytime. Anytime anything is shooting, there
Same here. It's an awesome place, St. John's. Everybody should go. Just quickly, Crawford. There's a underappreciated little gem, right? Good cast, a lot of funny people on that.
Plattenberg, who had been so formative in the Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah.
You know, so I've ended up working with the whole Trailer Park Boys team in a weird way, but on 2 totally separate shows at 2 separate times. Yeah, Crawford was a really fun show to do. I was just talking to my friend Stephen McCarthy yesterday, and I was wearing my Crawford hoodie, which I still have. And he was like, oh, Crawford hoodie. We were on that show together. I still got my hoodie. That's usually how you can tell what shows I've been on, that I'm always wearing some show.
My kids don't recognize me unless I'm wearing something from a TV show, like
True gift,
T-shirts and stuff. Pure was a good show too, out in Halifax. I was on the set of that. Maybe we talked there. I think maybe we talked. Was you the Best Laid Plans was in Ottawa? I think.
Oh my God, Best Laid Plans is one of the shows I'm saddest about that didn't get a second season.
Yeah.
I loved making that show with Jonas Chernick and Ken Welsh.
Yes.
Oh, and I had such a fun character, Bradley Stanton. For anybody who's read the book, you know, he's the Prime Minister's chief of staff, and it was an incredible part to play.
Yeah.
And so much fun. And that's my hometown. So to shoot in my hometown, a political comedy with McKinney, you know, Mark McKinney, I was opposite him. That was before he did Superstore.
Right. Yeah.
I loved making that show at home, and like to be in Ottawa in the summertime making that show.
I was there. We were in a historical house, like a really cool old house, and great. The director and was it Phyllis Platt who was
Phyllis, producer,
it, right?
Yeah, and Peter Moss, and Jim Halliday. Peter Moss and Jim Halliday sort of shared the directing of that, but. Yeah. And, you know, anytime to be with Ken, God rest his soul, you know, total legend, you know. And again, for someone who grew up in the theater, you know, Ken played Hamlet at Stratford in 1968, you know.
Incredible.
So to be around that guy back then was, I treasure that experience a lot.
Wow. To have seen his Hamlet, huh? I bet you that.
Oh, I wish.
Yeah. Would have been interesting. More needs he the divine than the physician. That's he, whatever. That's the only line I know from that play. And then, Hey Lady, Jane Eastwood. There's a show, that little tiny show that should have played for a lot longer, right? You know, a lot of these Canadian things
Yeah, well, it did go to Sundance and was showcased there, and and I hope maybe I can scoop it. I don't know, but I'm in. I have an episode with her in season 3 of Law and Order.
Oh, great!
Coming up, and I got to work with Jane again. And we'd also worked together on Train 48 and Hey Lady, and I love Jane. I think she's an absolute national treasure of the highest order. Sure. And anytime I can work with her is great. And Sarah Polley had called me up and said, "Hey, I got this little part on it. Would you mind doing it?" And you're like, "Oh my God, when Sarah Polley calls, you do it." I pushed Michelle Williams through an airport for a day in a scene from Take This Waltz that got cut. And all I have is the souvenir knife that says "Take This Waltz" on it. But I got to spend the day with Michelle Williams, which was just amazing. She's a really incredible person and
great actress.
fascinating and great actor. So
that's a fascinating film too. It's a really amazing.
Yeah, movie. I mean, she makes such great movies. I hear she's going to make another one soon.
Oh, good. That's great. Listen, Raoul, I'm sorry. I've had, you've been very generous with your time. We should do this again after season 2 of before season 2 of Star Trek Starfleet Academy, which is streaming now on Paramount Plus, on demand anytime. Please see it. It's fantastic. You're wonderful on it, and it's a very well made, exceptional show, and it's crafted right in Toronto. So all good news all the way around.
And you haven't even seen episode 3 yet, Bill. I got way more to do in 3.
That's
and
what
5
I hear.
And 6.
Okay, good.
So you have to report back to me on what you think. I'd like to hear what you think.
I will. And please also, if we get to that set, I would love to see it. So before you wrap, I'll stay in touch.
We'll work on that. You'll have to sign a few non-disclosure. Oh, you're the media though. You can do whatever you want.
Oh, I have to sign more.
If I bring my mom or if I bring my kids or my wife, we've got to sign all kind, no pictures and all this stuff. But there was a real tension around it, of course, before the show came out. Now there's more behind the scenes stuff, so it's not such a big deal. But yeah, I basically couldn't tell anyone I had this job for a year and a half. I couldn't put it on social media or anything. And finally, when I went to the New York premiere, I'm standing among all these people, and finally I was like, I am on Star Trek.
Yeah. We got some great pictures of you from that shoot, so that'll be great. Listen, I'm sorry to wrap this up, but thank you again so much. And Raoul, hopefully we talk to you very soon. Well, thanks again to Raoul and all at Paramount Plus for setting up this interview. Paramount, of course, one of our valued sponsors here at Brio TV. My thanks, as always, to Phil Hong for getting this episode done at warp speed. Thanks, as always, to the guys who did the music that you hear on this episode, BJ Del Conte, Paul Boudra, and Stephen Dudley. And finally, thanks to you, listener. If you like what you've heard, please spread the word. I'm Bill Brio. Thanks for listening.